Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. And Joyce, we're going to have a lot of laughs today because we're doing Emmys comedy categories.
Will it be full of laughter, though?
Does the fun ever stop?
Laughter, the best medicine.
Laughter's the best medicine. I'll never forget. Laughter is the best medicine. Joyce, we're recording this on Monday. The Only Murders in the Building finale airs is when you're watching this or listening to this. It is now. You can watch it now. We bring this up because the show is really
Tuesday,
good.
August 23rd, the day after Emmy voting closes.
Emmy voting closes on the 22nd, which is today. The finale is on the 23rd. Love the show Only Murders, and I am of the mind that despite the fact that the finale is airing after the voting closes, I think having the second season on as voting was happening was a strong play, and I think it will help the show really generate a lot of enthusiasm. I don't know. I moved Only Murders up to like second in my picks.
I mean, it can't. So we've seen the finale.
Yes, so we can talk about that.
We'll see that right now. We're gonna talk about it. So there are spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, go away, watch it, and then come back.
Yes.
I love the finale. I think I said it previously. I don't know whether here or in one of our columns that I preferred the season 2 finale to the season 1 finale.
Yeah. So I felt my sense. Tell me what you think of this. A little bigger swing on season 2. The mystery was a little more. Few more misdirects that I did not see coming, and it kind of ends off like I think the 9th episode ends with like you pretty much certain that it's Tina Fey, right? Like, don't they end it like that? And then it's not Tina Fey, which is a good misdirect, I think.
Yeah, because that's basically what happened in season 1, where the 9th episode ended, where you suspected Amy Ryan, Jan, because Steve Martin Charles went to her concert that she didn't want him to go to. And then he finds out that she's not first chair and his nose starts to bleed, and Mabel and Oliver find the bassoon cleaner.
Yes.
That's not a sex toy. And then, the finale, the season 1 finale confirmed that it was indeed Jan, it's still a great finale, but it didn't upend it in any way. Whereas it did do that here in season 2, because I do think after the 9th episode last week, people probably thought like, oh, it is Cinda. Right, with like the camera misdirect from Michael Rappaport checking her out at the bar, but he's actually checking out Poppy, aka Becky Butler.
Right, and it ties back into the first season really well.
Yes.
I thought it was very satisfying as a conclusion, and it sets up a season 3 mystery where Paul Rudd is a dead body, which I just love
it so much. The last 5 minutes I was dying, and I was like, I think I told you after I watched it, I was like, the last 5 minutes, LOL.
So good. And I love the idea that it sets up, I think one of the things that excited me about the end of season 2 and thinking of season 3 is that it makes Charles like in a way we haven't seen him before, I would say.
Yeah, because clearly before Paul Rudd's character, Ben Glenn Roy, great name, dies, collapses on stage on opening night of Oliver's Broadway show a year later. I also love that, the time jump too. Love it.
So great. Shows should time jump. All shows should time jump.
Well, also the thing is, it brings them into 2022 because obviously Bunny's murder was like right after the Tim Kono thing, which was in 2021.
Yes.
So now they're in even though season 3 will premiere, we think, in 2023. So we'll, like in real life, we'll still be ahead. But anyway, but yeah, a lot of stuff could happen in a year, and the murder is not in the Arconia anymore. And there's clearly some friction between Charles and Ben, and Charles knows he did something. He wants him to leave her alone, whoever her is.
It's really good. And I just love that because like Charles is always like the nice one, I feel like. And here he's like, he definitely has an edge to him that even though we're going to take his side because he's our favorite lead character, what is he upset about? And is he right to be upset? I found that really interesting.
Well, yeah, we need to know what her is like. Is this just some like, feuding actors thing?
Right. And the other thing I loved about it too is they could actually just have that be a throwaway thing they dispose of in the first 5 minutes of the set.
Right. It could just be a total red herring, like so many things are.
Which is great. So I really love the way that ends. And I think that's a great way to do it. I also think that like so much of season 2, which again, I think like we had talked about, I think you mentioned this because you had watched most of the screeners before, like the screeners came out, I think before Emmy voting or Emmy nominations, right? Or
it came out, they sent them in June.
And so you were like, oh, it's a big season for Selena Gomez. And it really was.
Yeah, because you were talking about like whether or not she'll get nominated, and I was saying if she got in, she has a great episode later on in season 2 during voting,
Right.
which was the final episode, Flipping the Pieces.
Yeah, and I don't think she would have won, but I think it's interesting. I think the show is, so my take is, and I don't think you agree with this because I know you're more Martin Short than Steve Martin, or at least you like them equally.
No,
But my
no, I'm not. It's not that. It's just I can't condone you thinking that Steve is so far ahead of Martin Short, because last month you literally said that Martin Short is a very distant fourth, which is not true at all.
I think it is. And I think the one thing I would take from the season is that it definitely would help Steve Martin win. I think he could actually win Best Actor in comedy. And I actually predicted him to win. I actually predicted Steve to win now. I think he could win.
No, I think it helps because I don't think season 2 was great for all 3 of them.
That's the thing.
And like Martin Short has a lot of great material in season 2 as well, with like the DNA, the paternity thing with Nathan Lane. He had a great scene last week in 9 when he finally confronted Nathan Lane about it, and they had that heart to heart that aired during voting. He also had Since You Care So Much About Press, a lot of press over the weekend from his Jimmy Fallon appearance.
His Jimmy Fallon appearance was really good. I would say I don't think a lot of his material was great in season 2, though I do think that because I just didn't care about that the paternity plot line. I thought it was like a diversion that did not need to be there. It was a good way to get Nathan Lane back in the show, but in the end it had really nothing to do with anything. I don't know. I just was like,
no, I don't agree with that at all, because the whole season is about well, I was gonna say fathers and sons, but like parents and children, because there's the thing of Steve Martin and Lucy too.
Right.
So I think that ties in very well with it. And, he had his Son of Stan episode, which will probably be his submission next year too. The 5th episode, right?
Yeah, that was good.
So yeah. And then there's just, like he's like Will is following his dad's footsteps too. He's also a theater director. He's doing his Wizard of Oz thing. So we should see that production too.
I would love to see that. Weigh in on that. That, and you know what? I was thinking that and Tiny Wu-Tang Clan. Like a tiny Wu-Tang opening for the Kid Wizard of Oz.
What was the line when they're like, oh, we don't think, was it the line should be played by someone who's neurotypical or something?
Yes.
It was such a great
but
yeah, I think like they both had great material, like Steve and Martin. And the thing with like the two of them, like I think it's just they each have their supporters. Like you obviously prefer Steve, but I think you cannot be in denial that Martin Short has a lot of supporters as well. And I think if you were to look at the category, his is the funniest performance of all 6 of those men. So the categories is officially called Outstanding Performance like lead actor in a comedy series. So it's not comedic performance. So the performance itself doesn't have to be comedic. It's just the lead performance in a comedy series.
Right.
But if you look at all 6 of those performances, like pound for pound, he provides the most laughs per minute.
Yes, he's funny.
Like the thing is, like on that show, like obviously Steve plays the straight man. So I think his performance like really anchors the show. But I think Martin Short gives you the most laughs, like makes you laugh the most. Like my friend, she has not seen season 2 yet, but she watched season 1 and she prefers Martin Short because she was like, he's so fucking funny.
He is funny. I mean, but I just think he's not as funny as Steve. I think this
that's just your preference, but I think you can't be in denial that they are a lot closer than Martin Short being way back in 4th place.
Well, here's why I think he's way back and forth, and why I think Steve could win. Is actually, even though I did like Martin Short's press, I thought that was really beneficial, and the Jimmy Fallon interview was great and very helpful. I think because he was trending and like people were like paying attention, and like you said, coming off like the back half of the season, he definitely had more material. And I think, like you said, season 2 is much more of an ensemble. So Martin actually had more to do this season than he even did in season 1, I would argue. It's always
been an ensemble. I think the thing is, the 3 of them work really well together.
Yes, but this season felt more like, but especially because they gave so much to Mabel that it felt like much more balanced. I just felt like this season was more of a 3-headed thing than even season 1 was. Because I think Steve and Martin were very much the leads of season 1 to me, because they were like the entry points for it. But yeah, I think that Steve, I just felt like Steve is a bigger, I don't know, I want to say a bigger name. He is
not a big, there are like the same. You are just
I don't think they're the same. I think Steve Martin.
You're just biased for Steve Martin, so just admit it.
Steve Martin hosted the Oscars. He's like a major movie star.
Okay.
Martin Short is a more supporting character as a movie star.
You know
He's
what?
a scene stealer.
Just to show you, I'm gonna move Martin Short to third.
Okay. Well, I moved Steve Martin to first, so because I think the reason I think one of them, I mean, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say one of them could win, though obviously it would be Steve Martin because he's much bigger as a factor. But
He's not a bigger, okay, like they are both comedy legends. Like,
yes, they
like,
are. They are
so
comedy.
this is the thing is like Steve co-created the show, and I think that's
Yes.
why people also have him, because he also has another nomination for writing,
Right.
co-writing the pilot.
And the other,
So that's why he is ahead in third, or like in the rankings. Like it's Bill Hader, Jason Sudeikis, Steve Martin, and Martin Short.
right.
But I think if you ask a lot of people, like it's pretty 50-50 on like who they prefer if they've seen the show.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess I could see that. Sure.
And I don't think like
anecdotal
one
evidence.
of them is not more famous than the other.
I
Like,
think
if
Steve
you-
Martin
if
is
you
more
watch the
famous.
Jimmy Fallon clip, like I think he would similarly worship the ground that Steve Martin walks on if he came on the show. But he was just fanboying out Martin
Yeah,
Short.
no,
Like,
of course. I mean, Martin Short is very funny. I just think Steve Martin is more famous. Steve Martin hosts the Oscars. He's been an A-list movie star for decades. You know what I mean?
who
Like,
cares if he's hosted the Oscars?
because you're saying who's more famous. Steve Martin is more
But that
famous.
doesn't
than
mean you're
Martin
more
Short.
famous just because there's millions of people who don't watch the Oscars.
Yeah, but there's millions of people who do watch the Oscars, and he's been like an A-list movie
like
star.
that doesn't like you're not gonna. Are you telling me you're gonna vote for someone because they hosted the Oscars?
No, you're just saying who is more famous. I think that Steve Martin is more famous. That's all.
Yeah, but
I
you're
think
saying
Steve
he's
Martin
more
would win
famous, and that's why
because
he's gonna win.
no, I think he's going to win because he has better material. I think in season 1 he had better material, and nothing in season 2 made me think that he wouldn't win. And like you said, he co-created the show, so there's a cachet there. He's had more press than Martin Short, though I think that's probably equal because they've done a good job of like sharing the spotlight. Though I mean, like Steve Martin, like saying he would retire or not retire, which is a stupid pull from like a random THR cover story, like was a story for over a week. It felt like for some reason. So I think
Well,
like
that's because like aggregate sites take a long time to pick up 5-day-old stories.
yes.
So you just see them over and over again.
But that helps him. It's because it was all happening like during voting, I think, at least the early part of voting. I don't know. And I think the reason that I think there's a room for an Only Murders win in Best Actor is because I do think while it's totally different performances, there's a similar audience for Jason Sudeikis and Bill Hader, and that Bill Hader could win directing and probably will win directing is an out for people maybe not to vote for him for actor, and then maybe like one of these guys
But it's
wins.
not
in
the
very
whole
close
Academy
race.
voting in every category.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I think that
Like they can't consult with each other like that.
well,
Like you
I
can't
think they have
vote
like similar
without
audiences is Sudeikis and Hader. So,
But I also
could be
think
one of
that's
them
why, like, if
not winning.
like if you're just talking about like, so we know like they prefer, or especially in series, they prefer like funnier stuff, like not like, you know, Poor Barry, basically.
Right.
But Bill Hader is off the charts acting wise too. He's won twice.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would win under the tape system. Like I've said before, I think Steve would win under the tape system because he submitted the finale. Like amazing physical acting in that. Also amazing physical acting in the season 2 finale by him.
Really
Wow.
good. The slow motion stuff was really funny.
And then when he like sits up and he's like, we did.
Really good. He
So
also
I think,
sold
like,
getting stabbed. I gasped. I was like, oh my God. Even though I knew he wasn't gonna
when that
die.
happened, I didn't like, I knew like he wasn't dead, but I was
Yeah.
like, when Chris watches this, like he's totally gonna cry.
No, but I
that
was
was
like,
very
holy
sad.
cow. It was a good swing to do even a fake out like that. I was like, that took like guts, I would say, as a show.
That
I don't think a
was,
lot of shows would have done
it
that.
was like hysterical because I was like, I know he's not dead. So I was like when are they gonna reveal that he's alive? And he just sits up.
So good. I guess I would say like that's another reason why I think Steve could win is because he actually is, like you said, like if they want something that's funny and like
But that's why I think like that helps Martin Short, because I think he's more like he has more jokes and his character is more over the top.
yeah, I guess I think Steve is funnier. He's just more of a
That's just your preference, and like
yeah,
you're
just
trying
like
to
more of an
hold it
intellectual
into
comedy
reality.
Steve's doing.
You're
He's
just
doing
trying to
more like
hold it into
intellectual
reality
comedy.
and you're going backwards, trying to justify the prediction by saying that Steve Martin is more famous than Martin Short.
Well, he is
because
more
he-
famous than Martin Short, but that's not why I have him winning. I have him winning because I think he's like clearly the headline grabbing name of the show and that he co-created it. And then I think that the other two guys will split their own vote. And I think he's ahead of Martin Short in his own show. So that's why I have him
But,
winning.
like, why can't Steve, like, that's always been the thing, that why, like, that Steve and Martin will split their vote, because it's so, like, of all the same show vote splits, I would say theirs is the closest.
I actually don't think it is. And the other thing is, none of them have actually, I mean, you could say this too, but the reason I think I'll give you benefit of the doubt that one of them could win is that they never had, like, Jason Sudeikis and, I don't know, none of these three they've never they've never gone against each other, right? Like Barry, like Bill, Jason,
All
and
three,
Steve.
no, because Barry came back in the spring, but Jason won everything. Jason beat both of the Murders guys in the winter.
Yes, at SAG and Critics' Choice, which, like, it's gonna coattail SAG and, like, pre-predict the Emmys. I don't know. I think Steve is gonna win. I do. I think that's the sense I have. I'm gonna go with it. I don't think the show is gonna
I'm
win.
totally fine with you. Like, I don't care. Like, I will be very happy if Steve wins. It's just your basis for him winning is flawed.
I don't think it's flawed. I think it's
Just
right
like
on.
your Lee You-Me argument last week. So
Lee You-Me, by the way, I looked that up.
Did you come
So
to
you were
see
right.
that?
I will say, for your burner account, just dragged me in the comments of the video. But you were right that Harriet Walter had done more press. But when it came to Google trending, which maybe is because of whatever you want to say, Lee You-Me in LA and New York was a much higher trending topic than.
What does that have to do with interviews that Lee You-Me has allegedly
I
done?
meant it was like vibes. It's like the more you're out there in the world, the more people are talking about your thing, the better.
No,
it is.
'cause
Interviews
I
is a
don't-
great way
so-
to do that, but also
here's
it's
the
just
thing.
like being in the conversation. That helps
So-
people want to vote for you.
Here's the thing. It's one thing to do press and have press written about you, even if you're not participating in it, which is what you're trying to get at here to justify your argument last week now with her trending press. Just people talking about her.
Yeah.
Like, that's all and fine. But the thing is, voters still have to engage with you and your show somehow. Like, just look at Phase One. There's 600 shows out there. People pour thousands and thousands of money into their campaigns to get press, or, like, they mount campaigns, they do interviews, like all this stuff. Most of, like, 90% of these shows are not nominated. We know that. There's only 2 limited series, we know.
I'm still looking for the offer,
nominated.
Joyce.
That's because, like, the voters did not engage with these shows somehow. Like, you can do all the press in the world, but they still have to either check out your interview, like read it, watch it, and maybe find you engaging and be like, oh, that was really charming. I really like her. Maybe I'll watch her show and check out her performance. But if they don't engage in any way with that, like, they could see you trending, but they're still not gonna watch Squid Game or whatever, like, that doesn't help you.
Yeah, but they've already watched Squid Game. I think you're picking the wrong show.
Okay,
there.
so not Squid Game, but like any other show. Like, that's the thing. Like, I've said that she can win because if she wins, it'll be basically on merit, because she deserves it, because people love that performance, love her, so she will win on merit. It's
and
not
have seen it.
press.
And have seen it. But I'd say it helps. That's another reason why I think it helps.
No, because it's like they're not going to pay
visibility.
attention to, just because they're not. No one's going on Google Trends to see Lee You-Me trending.
No, they don't need to. I'm saying they're like the fact that it's
no,
in the
because
ether.
if they're voting right now to just be like, I loved her on Squid Game, they'll just vote for her. That's it. Because
they would vote for her, but I think they need to be reminded. I think certain people probably are like,
because they'll just see her.
I disagree.
They already voted for her for the nomination. That's the thing.
Right.
So if they didn't care about her, like, they would not have voted for her for the nomination already. So now, if she's actually their favorite of those nominees, like over Harry Walter, Hope Davis, and everyone, then they'll just vote for her to win.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt that she's like in the ether.
But she's like, you were saying that she did interviews last week.
Well, I was wrong about the interviews, but the general premise is right. And I do believe that.
Because now you're trying to shift it to the press. That's just
no, that's what I'm talking about. It is the press. It all goes together. Interviews helps because it gets you out there.
Like, it doesn't matter, because, like, as we've said, they've already seen the show. Like, this is a bad example because we know they've seen Squid Game.
Right.
So, like, they don't need to re-engage with Squid Game. That's the thing. It's like no one needs to re-engage with Succession. We know they've seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, a show like Abbott Elementary, which is on the rise, that's a show that could benefit from that. Like, people who have not engaged with it yet need to engage with it now.
Right. And it's on HBO Max now, which I think is a good help.
So, like, that's a better example. Like, she does not need this additional press that you think she has.
I think it helps to have additional people talking about you. It cannot be a negative thing.
Like, I don't disagree that it's great to have people talking about you, but I think, like, the voter still has to engage with it somehow. And we know that most of them have already seen Squid Game and her performance.
Yeah. I think voters don't pay attention to this as much as, I don't think they pay attention to shows. I think they just look at who they like, and if they're reminded they like this person, then they'll vote for them. That's all.
But I don't think like they need the reminder that like even if they've forgotten who they voted for in nomination phase, once they start voting now for the winners and they see her name, and then they'll just be like, if they've seen it, they'll be like, oh yeah, I really liked her, and I can't choose between the Succession ladies, and I don't really care about Martha Kelly or Marcia Gay Harden, then I'll just vote for Liu Mi.
Right. Sure. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah,
But I
so
think
he doesn't need the additional press if they've already seen
I
the
would
show.
say it doesn't hurt to have the additional press. That's what
No,
I'm
because
saying.
that's not going to be the incentive to get them to vote for her.
It's a part of what they would vote for.
No.
Yes.
No.
And that's why I think Steve Martin, though Martin Short also had good press, I think Steve Martin overall in the voting cycle had bigger amount of press.
I'm just gonna log into my burner account and troll you again in the comments.
I'm sure you will. But I'm
yeah.
just saying that's another reason why I think Steve could win.
No, just say you prefer Steve Martin and you want him to win, and we'll leave it
I
at
do
that.
prefer Steve Martin. I would want him to win. I think Martin Short is a supporting actor on the show, which I know
He's
you
not
don't
a
agree
supporting
with.
actor on the show.
And I think that he can win over
No,
Sudeikis.
I can't
and
wait
Hader.
for everyone to drag you so hard, not just me and my burner account, whoever that person was.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Looking forward to all the comments. I don't read comments, by the way, but
I'll send them to you.
Yeah,
I'll
you feel
send
free
them
to
to
send
you.
them to me.
I could send them to you.
So.
That's fine. So what do you have winning comedy now?
I haven't really changed anything, and I probably won't change anything until.
So do you still have Hacks then?
Yeah, I still have Hacks. Like
Yeah.
it's just like a placeholder. Like
Right.
I think actually, like I have Ted in second. I could see it winning. I think I said this last time we talked about comedy, just because it's so. If it is as like the race is as fractured as we think it is, then I could just see it winning again without really winning anything else.
So that's what I was looking at. Yeah, I was looking at it. I'm like, so I have Ted still in the supporting categories. I think you have maybe Brett and not Hannah Waddingham, right?
Yeah.
So I have them in supporting, and then I was looking, I really don't have it winning anything else, and not even like in creative arts, I don't have it winning anything else. So I would be like,
So, like
but I still have
art,
winning.
Yeah, because I think like the thing is, like, because everyone votes for the program category, so
Right.
I think if the passion is like split among like these like 5 shows or whatever, that it could still eke it out because of like familiarity, and like it got the 20 nominations again, same amount as last time.
Mhm.
Increased in acting, dropped in writing and directing.
Right.
So like I do think it's notable that it submitted multiple episodes into those 2 categories, and it couldn't get a second writing nomination ahead of Barry or What We Do in the Shadows.
Right.
And it couldn't get the second directing nomination ahead of Only Murders, which got 2.
Right.
You know, and yeah, Only Murders also got 2 ahead of Abbott Elementary, which did not get directing.
So like I was trying to figure out so you still have Hacks. Do you actually think, and I know that's your placeholder, but do you actually think Hacks, like if you had a guess, like would you pick Hacks right now to win? Or is that like, or what would you change it
No,
to?
right now I would pick Ted Lasso to win.
Okay. And if you weren't going to pick Ted, you would pick Hacks. Like you think that would be the alternate and not Only Murders?
No, I think Only Murders can win. I think like based on how they did, so they both got 17 nominations.
Yeah.
I think Only Murders would do better at creative arts than Hacks.
Same.
So like it could win both guest categories. It can win main titles and main title theme. That's 4. It could win production design.
Right. I have it winning all of those. So I was like, if it wins 5 on creative arts, like that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, but it could also just win those and then not win series.
Sure.
Because it's everyone voting for the top category.
Right. It does feel like Ted Lasso is still the consensus pick, but I do think it's wild that it could win like 3 awards basically, and that's it.
Ted would at creative arts, I could see it. I think we've talked about casting before. Like I could see it just winning casting again.
Right. Not Abbott Elementary.
Veep has done that where it just won casting at creative arts and then would win series.
Right.
Yeah, Abbott could win casting. Like that's his only below the line category.
I could see Abbott winning casting, and then I was like, does Veep really win? I mean, does Ted Lasso really win nothing? I was like, maybe sound. I think
nothing at creative arts. You don't need to win if show is not craft heavy, like you're not gonna win anything.
But I guess I would say, like, is there a big difference in the crafts in any of these comedy? You know, to me, I'm just like, I think production design for Only Murders is like significant because of the way they make the
Yeah.
building look, and it's like really cool. But everything else, I feel like all these shows have similar crafts. Like we said, there's really not a big difference between like a,
Okay, so
episode
let's
of,
look at like
you
Only
know,
Murders crafts. Where are we? So
this is all to say I still have Ted Lasso winning, but I'm like, I really don't know how. I don't know how I came to that, except that it's just like
it can
a
win
consensus pick, basically.
because it's like everyone, because it's not, it's like the same as if there's everyone's dispassionate towards everything, but if like these 5 shows have the same amount of passion, then it doesn't take that much for one of
Right.
them to get
Right.
out. So it's still, but like the thing is, it's like it's not surprising that Ted still did well at the nomination phase because it's unlimited ballots. Like it's, you know, it makes sense when you think about it that it got all these extra acting nominations.
Right.
But then like voting for the winners, you only pick one, so it is about passion. So like, I mean, you know, Ted obviously still has its hardcore fans that will vote for it, but I think with there being a lot of other shows in contention, like this is a tougher field than it was last year when it won.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the shows all like, I think the tone of we mentioned this, but like Abbott Elementary, Only Murders, and Ted Lasso are of similar ilk in tone, I would say. And Barry and Hacks are also of similar tone. But I'm like, last year, Ted Lasso was like the only show that was like seriously a nice core kind of show.
So, I mean, I would say Ted and Abbott are the nice core.
Yes.
Like I was thinking about this with Murders. Like I think it's actually the only show of those 5 that appeals to everyone, like across the spectrum.
I think that's true.
And it also like because there's also a line in the season 2 finale when they're setting up their theater production to get Becky. And Martin Short says like, oh, like this is a family murder podcast, and that's true because you can watch it with kids.
You
Like,
could, and I'll tell you what, it's the only I mean, like, I know a lot of people of all different ages who really love the show.
Yeah,
as we
like
said,
so I think
old people call it apartment murders. What was it? Murders in the apartment.
Murders in the apartment. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jackie Hoffman tweeted that yesterday.
Sure.
Someone knew her from that show, Murders in the Apartment.
So like that's how old people love it, younger people love it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a very
and
broad
it's
spectrum.
like critically acclaimed, you know.
Yeah.
So it has the broadest appeal of all these shows, and I think we had always just kind of not written it off, but just thought of it as an also ran because Ted was still here and Barry was coming back and Hacks was coming back, you know, and it didn't really win anything in the winter. So
I definitely was guilty of that, but now I'm like, I actually think I might put it at the top to win by the time we do final picks.
I don't so like it could like win the most
like
awards out of the comedy
and still not win series. Right. That's the one thing.
When like any above the line, like all of its wins could be below the line.
Right.
It could still not win series.
And like you said, like it could just be a thing where in the end, like I think Succession is a much stronger show, obviously, and you know how I feel about Succession. So there's not a knock on Succession, but I feel like similarly, like Succession could lose in different spots in the drama categories and still win series without a problem. And Ted Lasso, I feel like could be very similar, where it could win like a couple of acting honors, 1 or 2, and then not win anything else, and then still win show. I could see that happening. Like it just is a default, like you said. Everybody likes Ted Lasso, and it's got enough support, even in a fractured field, to win. I could easily see that happening.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know.
But I know. So it's like, I know, because I think like 2 weeks ago we were talking about like Abbott as like the probable runner-up, and I still think it, like, there's an off chance it could still do it. It's just it. Like Murders has 10 more nominations.
That's the thing. And like you'd said, like Abbott doesn't really have any below the line support except for casting. So like
There's no directing. And I guess you can argue that people were late to it or like voters were late to it, but I don't know, because it's like it premiered in December. So like I get it. It's a broadcast show. So maybe like, you know, they're not gonna check out broadcast shows right away.
I feel like also like they would have though. And I feel like
because it was always it always had great reviews.
It had great reviews and great
And people
buzz.
were always talking about it, like until its finale in the spring. And it's like, like Fleabag premiered in late May and it just instantly blew up. So it's not the same thing. But
Right.
what I mean is that it premiered later and it got 12
Mhm.
nominations,
Right.
including directing, which it won.
And Abbott could have gotten to directing. Randall Einhorn
Yeah,
is the
like we were
director
seeing, like, yeah, like it
very
could
easily.
have totally gotten that
Yeah.
slot.
Yeah.
So I yeah, and it always had good press. Like while it was airing, it was renewed like right before the season finale.
And
The
unlike
season finale was in April, so it had like 2 months before voting started, and it was
right.
campaigning hard.
And unlike like impeachment as a show, it was always I don't watch linear TV, so I watched it on Hulu the next day, like everybody, like a lot of people probably did. So it wasn't even hard to find, you know what I mean? Like it was just easy
Yeah,
to,
and it's short.
and it's easy to catch up on too. And now it's on HBO Max as well, so maybe people are catching up the last minute.
Yeah, like I do think like people, like if they haven't seen it, like voters haven't seen it yet since nominations, like they're watching it. Like it's the easiest show of all the nominees to
Absolutely,
catch up
it's
on.
very, very watchable. And
Yeah.
so I mean, right now I have my top three are Ted Lasso, Only Murders, and Abbott, and then I have Hacks and Barry. Mrs. Maisel
Yeah, I don't
always in
think
the
like
shadows
Barry.
for
Like I love Barry, but it's not winning.
no.
In my heart, it would win.
This is
but-
a really this is a fun category. It really is
I mean, we
good.
don't even talk about the other three. What We Do in the Shadows, Maisel and Kerr, but I don't think they're winning.
You know, it's funny. I watched a lot of Maisel, and I know people were kind of like down on that show, but I thought the finale was fine and pretty good, and I thought that season was okay. It just felt like no buzz compared to these other shows, whatever
No,
reason.
it's just at that age where they're just like over it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That happens to a lot of old shows.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
So, and the thing is, it's like it missed directing too this
Right,
time.
right.
So it's misreading before, which is just like LOL. But this time it missed both writing and directing.
So we've
So-
not talked about actress a lot, because I think we both have Jean Smart, and she's clearly the top pick. But is there a world where she doesn't win and Quinta Brunson wins? It feels like she's obviously the runner-up, I would imagine. Certainly in our
Yeah, I could
odds.
see Quinta winning. It would definitely be kind of like, and so it's funny because I think we can see Jean winning multiple Emmys for this role, as we've
Yes.
said, dating back to last year. Whereas if Quinta wins this year, this is like no shade to her at all. It's just it just feels very kind of like in the moment type of thing. Like I don't really see her winning multiple Emmys for her performance.
Right. The
You know,
performance is a lot like Amy Poehler on Parks, and like that's not winning multiple Emmys.
I mean, well, she never won an Emmy for
Right.
Park, but like I think like she's very good on the show, like Quinta. But it definitely feels like it's just part of like Abbott's ascendancy if she were to win actress.
So I didn't switch yet. I didn't switch. I still have Jean. I don't think I would switch, but I did. Again, on the idea that people want to see Quinta Brunson win an Emmy, I do have a winning writing instead of Hacks.
Yeah, I could see like that's probably her better shot
Right.
to win an Emmy in writing. So
Right. And I think that's also a way, like the show is probably not strong enough to win, even though, like you said, it's possible that it could win and be like a Coda style win of enthusiasm. But I do think that's a way to like honor the show, and it could win writing, and that's good. And that would be a great moment.
So the other thing about Coda winning, like I think it and Abbott are similar in that obviously they missed a lot of key categories. And it could win writing and an acting award. I have a winning for Janelle. So
Right.
but I think Coda was at the right place at the right time in that no one really loved Power of the Dog, and they didn't really care about any of the other nominees as either, like Belfast, like no one cared.
Remember Belfast, Joyce? It's on HBO Max. You can watch it right now.
It was the shortest nominee of the bunch.
Yeah.
Loved it so much, just 90 minutes. Whereas here, like we were saying, there are these other shows that do have their passionate fan bases, just
Right.
like Abbott does. So
Yeah.
like it was easier for Coda to be like the likable, nice pick.
Yes. I think
like-
here you'd have Only
like
Murders.
Ted is also nice.
Right. You have Ted and Only Murders as, like you said, like an all Big Ten show, more so than these other shows where everybody's gonna like Only Murders, and like there was no Only Murders in this year's Oscar race. It should have been West Side Story, but they didn't have us
That's never
doing the
gonna happen 'cause
campaign.
it's a musical, and they clearly did not care.
So you still have Janelle for supporting actress. I'd really love to pick her, but I'm sticking with Hannah Waddingham. I don't know. I'm like so torn, but I just feel like Hannah Waddingham has a lot of support and a lot of good material from the second season. And I don't know. I mean, it would be great if Janelle James won. Like I said, she's the funniest. She's definitely the funniest person in this category. No offense to the other nominees.
I have Hannah Waddingham in third. I have Hannah Einbinder.
You have Hannah Einbinder in second. So I have Hannah Einbinder in third. I have Janelle in second.
I've like considered switching to Quinta in actress and then switching to Hannah Einbinder in supporting actress.
I mean, that'd be great. I love Hannah Einbinder. She's probably my favorite performance in this category. And her stuff in the finale rules.
Like, since you care so much about interviews and press, she's been campaigning a lot. So
she has. So is Hannah Waddingham. I can't say I've seen.
Hannah Waddingham always does, though.
Right. I haven't seen as much from Janelle James, I would say. That could just be anecdotal.
They're also shooting too, but that's also the thing. Like, they're also shooting Ted, and they've flown everyone except Jason Sudeikis over to do like a bunch of stuff.
Jason is not. I have not seen a peep out of him. The only thing I've seen is like the Page 6 reports about his custody battle with Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, and how sources close to him say he never intended for her to be served during CinemaCon.
He's not really not out there as much, let's say, this year.
But both him and Bill Hader have had unfortunate gossip press recently.
Yes, actually, I did.
Not through any fault of their own. Although I guess if you're like, you could blame, quote unquote, blame Jason for the papers, but he doesn't control that. It's not like he did it. But
no, I don't blame him for that. And the Bill Hader one was that was a Google Bill Hader and I would say big, maybe. Joyce, what do you think would be the term?
Yeah, again, no fault. I actually feel bad for him because like he's talked so openly about his anxiety and like being private about his private life. So
yeah, I felt bad for him too.
Yeah, Rachel Bilson letting.
I also feel like you maybe. What do you think? I do feel like you said, since the season, from a press standpoint, it's been way more about him as a filmmaker than as an actor for this season. I feel
for Bill.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Like I think like this season, I think it aligns with him really kind of being more confident in his filmmaking too. For season.
And it's awesome. I can't wait. I hope after, I'm assuming, so they're doing season 4 now, right? I think for Barry, maybe the last season. Let's say, I can't wait. I would hope he directs a feature. That would be my long.
Well, that's what like everyone was saying this season after every episode that he'd, especially after 710 North. It's like, when is he going to direct a movie?
So I guess after season 4, maybe.
So
did you see that HBO ad, Joyce, last night that had all our faves coming back next year?
Last night.
All our faves come back next year. Succession.
Well, I mean, none of that is breaking news, so no. I don't know why you're announcing
Winning Time, Barry. It's next year. Everything's next year.
He also asked me last week, when do we think Succession season 4 is premiering? And I was like, we've already talked about this.
Yeah, but I didn't remember us talking about it.
Because you have a terrible memory.
No, it's not.
It was because when they changed the hanging episodes rule, right. And then me being like a complete maniac counted back 10 weeks for season 4. So for season 4, it would need to premiere on March 26th and end on March 28th to be eligible, if that's what they want.
One of the things I was thinking, do you think, I guess it doesn't matter because it's HBO Max or whatever. No, was Winning Time HBO Max or HBO? I honestly am confused by this still. It was HBO, right?
Yeah.
And then it's on HBO Max, right? So you think Winning Time and Succession air in the same time? That's what I was thinking last night. But Adam McKay back to back. Or do you think Barry?
No, because they do their drama and then they do comedy.
Right. So they'll pair it with Barry. Succession.
That's what I've like told multiple people that I think they will do, because they've never been paired together before. So but then do you think their drama at 9 and it's usually 2 comedies at 10.
And then I guess they'll see if they could do Winning Time if they wanted to be eligible for next year's Emmys, would have to air in January before Succession. They're already filming. They were filming season 3.
They started season 2. They started before Succession did, so.
Yes, but they were doing a lot of training, because I interviewed like what's his face? Magic actor. Quincy Isaiah. Quincy? And he was already training for it like way back, like in February, I think. So they've been like preparing for season 2 for a while at least. So back to comedy, Joyce, because we love it. So I have Hannah Waddingham and Brett Goldstein. To me, actually, I guess along with Gene, feels pretty set. I feel like I'm not going to switch in Henry Winkler in the last second here, but I guess he would be my runner-up.
Yeah, I have Brett still as a default. So I have Henry in second, but I've thought about moving Tyler James Williams up.
I'd move Toheeb Jimoh up to third because I just think that character is, well, I interviewed him, so obviously, but I think even if I hadn't, I would have moved him up because it's like he had such a great season and he's so likable on the show. And I have Tyler James Williams in fourth, so I have them both. Like both of them are really great. I love those two actors, but I don't have them ahead of Henry Winkler.
This is sort of like series where like Ted could just win by default.
Yeah, I would say series is stronger though, because there's no Only Murders here.
Well, but it's also like I guess it just depends on like if you think people are just gonna check off Brett again, whether it's just because like they really loved him, like they thought he was the best out of all these 8 people, or if you think like they're kind of torn between all these 8 people, or like don't care about most of them, or they each have like similar amount of support that Brett can just win again. Because we know that like he basically won last year for season 2.
He won last year for season 2, and I feel like he'll win this year just because people like him. He is very likable, I think, as a presence. I just think it's like they'll pick their favorite, and that's him.
It's like I have Henry in second, but I don't know.
What would it take for you to like? I mean, is there? I can't like. I will not put Henry Winkler first. I also think Barry, like you said, did not like, not soft, but like not a serious contender for series. So I don't think he would win. I don't know.
It's never going to win series unless I'm the one controlling the Emmys.
So. Right. So maybe next year it can win series if you take over the Television
Henry's
Academy.
Won before, we know that, so he could win again. He's won before, and he's never faced off against Brett.
Right. So we don't know.
And then he does, have he had a great season, and then his betrayal basically in the finale, similar to Tom on Succession.
Right. And he's and he's definitely doing the promo. Henry loves the promo.
Henry does. And he also loved Martin Short on Jimmy Fallon, and he tweeted that whole clip. So
he did. Supporting actor Martin Short.
Winner Martin Short. I'm not even predicting him. I have him in third place.
I want you to put him in first, and I'll put Steven first, and we'll see how it goes.
I'm not putting Martin Short in first.
I
would love so for both of them to win, but
maybe it'll be a tie. We'll have the Critics' Choice Awards at the Emmys. Directing, we have Barry, no doubt, right? Like Bill Hader for Barry.
I don't like. They need to just give it to him so then he can like stop worrying about it, because I feel like he really wants this. And I just want him to have it, and he deserves it. It's not that like it would be an unwarranted win, because that's a great episode.
He should absolutely win, and that's saying something, because truly a lot of good directing in this category is really good. It's a solid. It's not like he's winning against like tomato cans. These are like good episodes.
So yeah, I think even though directing has gone to the series winner or the series runner-up, and I don't think Barry is the series runner-up here, I think he can still win this, because I have Ted in fourth, but I feel like maybe I should just move it to second if I think like Ted is gonna win series.
That's funny. I have Ted in fourth also. I have Only Murders Hope Dicted in second for Boy from 6B, because I think arguably as good as Bill Hader in 710 North, the directing in Boy from 6B. Just love it.
Yeah, and then Hacks won last year.
So I have Hacks in third.
Yeah, like I do think it's notable that Ted couldn't get a second nominee here when it's submitted. I think it's submitted 4 in directing and 2 in writing, or maybe it's the other way around. But it was definitely 2 and 4. And obviously it got 3 last year, and it vote split it. So yes, it is good for it that it only got 1 in. But then it's like, does that just mean like a decrease in support among the directors because they got 2 murders episode nominated?
I would love. Can you imagine? I mean, I don't want to even think about it because I do want Bill Hader to win. But wouldn't it be great if Murders won? It was Cherry and Davis was the director of Boy from 6B.
So yeah, so it's that, and then it's the pilot that are nominated. I don't. So like it would be great. But
here's what I was thinking, Joyce. Tell me if you think this is totally insane. But I was like, the fact that Murders got 2 and specifically Boy from 6B, because it was so easy just to name check the pilot in, right? Like a lot of these shows do. That means there's a lot of passion and support for it, and it could win, and like it wouldn't even split its vote.
But I think like people also like that's the episode from season 1, right? It's not like it was like a no one care episode that like they wouldn't have submitted a no one care episode anyway,
right?
But it's like people know this was the best episode of season 1, and then it makes sense that they also submitted the pilot because it's the pilot,
right? No, yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it is interesting because like at DGA, murders got blanked. Like Ted got 3 episodes in, I think, over murders. So it's like the complete reverse here with like Emmy voters.
And I guess for me too, like you always said, and this is not a knock on Ted Lasso, a show I really love and rewatched again recently, and it's still great. But the directing, there's not a lot of, you can't like, you might remember different episodes from Ted Lasso, right? But it all feels like a one thing. So you're not going to be able to be like, oh, that was that cool. But like Murder 6B and Barry 710 North are like very unique and like specific that you're going to know, I know that episode. And like No Weddings and a Funeral, you might remember because they do a Rick roll at the end, right? Never Gonna Give You Up. And it's like Rebecca's doing her eulogy and all this stuff.
Yeah, like that's the episode of Ted Lasso, but I don't know if anyone is talking about the direction of it.
Correct. That's right. Yeah. So
Barry, I mean, it's the same thing with Hacks too, but like I predicted Hacks to win directing last year because I was like, I don't think it's the stronger show than Flight Attendant, which even though that has the flashier directing and won DGA. So
if you were going to predict, so you have what do you have in second then? Hacks?
I still have Hacks in second, but like I said, I'll probably move Ted up.
And Ted would be in second for you because I'm like, okay, I understand. And then for writing, for writing shows, I have, like I said, I have Abbott, I have the pilot for Abbott Elementary, and I have Hacks in second. It seems like that's like pretty much neck and neck in our odds, very close. Hacks has like 958 votes and Abbott has 766. So pretty much like almost dead heat.
Yeah, I haven't made the switch yet, but I have Hacks and Abbott 1, 2.
So it's funny. My preference would be Hacks because it's
my preference would be Hacks too.
The best.
And I think I do think it's the better written script.
Yes, and it's a great episode. But I think Abbott Elementary will win on just enthusiasm.
It's interesting because
great show too.
Yeah. So remember like last year, because like we all knew like Michaela Cole wasn't winning actress for I May Destroy You, right?
Right.
Even though that was a great field, just 5 people, but amazing.
Remember a limited series last year?
What a downgrade to this year, really. Just 2 shows. 2 shows exist.
Like, what happened?
That's it.
No room for The Offer? Come on.
So, but it was like I never wavered. I think some people were like switching to Queen's Gambit for writing after Creative Arts last year when it won 9. I was like, no, Michaela is winning writing, and she did. So it's a bad comp because I don't think Quinta is as strong as Michaela was in writing here for Abbott. But I can see her winning because I think a lot of people do like it, and so I don't know, maybe she'll win too.
She could win too. I guess I was thinking like crazy. Another reason why I moved Abbott up is also, again, it could just be the Emmys can be very lazy and just Hacks would win again, right? Like it's just going to win another writing because it's like the writing show or whatever. But I could also just see them like being like, oh, we gave Hacks already won here last year, so it's not there's not as much of a need to give it an Emmy this year, and maybe there's an alternate that they also like, and that's why Abbott wins. I don't know.
So since 2015, under the system, the writing winners have been Veep, which won series, and then in 2016 and 2017 it was Master of None, which did not win series either of those years, and then 2018 was Maisel, which won series, and then Fleabag, which we all knew was winning writing for sure, and it won series, and then Schitt's Creek, which won series, and then Hacks, which did not win series.
So it's a little like based on those winners, it's like sometimes it's like the original screenplay at the Oscars, like we'll give it to the cool show that's not going to win the series. But then also,
like if you're sweeping, you're going to win.
If you're sweeping, you're going to win. But this year, where there's no sweep, maybe it's not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, like there was no sweep last year for Ted either. Right. So
yeah, it feels like
Ted is going to win series again without writing or directing.
I mean, it very easily could. If I want to switch to anything, it would be Only Murders at this point, because I think, like we've said, it's the second season being as good, if not better than the first, only helps the first in, I think, this time. So that's been like a real success.
It is still funny, like we've said, that they premiered the season the day after voting for phase 1 closed, and now season 2 finished the day after phase 2 voting closed.
It's very strange, and I think the only thing that would have been different if they had done it within the right window of voting would have been Selena Gomez probably would have gotten nominated. I think that's the only miss, right? Because they got 17 nominations. I don't know how much better it could have done. Except,
I mean, I think it could have definitely hit like 20 or like 19.
It could have gotten James Caverly, though he wasn't in as much for season 2. It could have gotten Selena Gomez, and then maybe
it could have gotten sound editing, which is
editing.
So it's like it could have done as well as Ted.
Yeah.
I do think like had Selena been nominated, I think people would be taking it a lot more seriously as a series winner right now.
Yes. And I think if Selena was nominated, I would have her like a close second or third behind Jean and Quinta, based on the nominees in the category.
Yeah, I don't even know who I have after Quinta. You know me, like after the first.
Yeah, you're the Ricky Bobby school of voting. If you ain't first, you're last.
It's like I have to list these other people. I don't know. I have Kaylee in third. I mean, great performance on a shaky season.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to do? We could do guest. I think we've talked a lot about. I mean, guest actors for Only Murder. I have Nathan Lane and Jane Lynch winning for Only Murders.
I have them too.
Now, if I'm going on my season 2 as a big boost, Nathan Lane was great in season 2 as well. He's very fun and in it. Jane Lynch not in it as much. I think she's in
only one episode.
One episode.
And
again, we're voting for season 1, so it doesn't matter, but maybe it does.
Nathan had 3. I think I talked to Nathan Lane. Yeah, and he talked about how he has not won yet. He has not won a primetime Emmy because he has 2 daytime Emmys, but he was like, as you know, like they don't take those as seriously because they're made of chocolate inside.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I told him about the skit they did on that show, like Dr. Phil. They had like that of like Emmy, quote unquote, directed Fred's out. And Dr. Phil said like he came in to like help them, and they said that the daytime Emmy is spelled with 1 M. So yeah,
that's awesome.
He did not know about that, but anyway, yeah, so it'd be great to see him win.
I think I can't imagine him not winning, honestly, and I really can't imagine
it's the guest categories. So
I can't imagine Jane Lynch losing, but also like, what if she did? I guess, and who would you pick? Like I've Harriet Walter.
So, are we doing which one are we doing first? Actress or actor?
I mean, actor. I have Nathan Lane and then Bill Hader. That's my top 2.
So the nominees are Gerard Carmichael, James Lance, Christopher McDonald, and Sam Richardson.
Right. So I put Nathan Lane.
They could easily just kind of be lazy and just give it to SNL again, like Gerard.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think so though, just because like SNL flopped so hard this year.
And also, there's other places. Again, if overall, like Gerard's going to win probably for his special, so he doesn't necessarily need to win for this.
But yeah, I think it went from like 21 to like 9 this year in nominations. But I remember I feel like 4 SNL guys in this category, and it just got 1.
I feel like you and I were early adopters on that SNL was not going to be.
I was one of the few people not to predict Ariana DeBose for SNL.
So yeah, Nathan. I don't know. I feel like Nathan Lane would easily win this comedy guest actor.
I feel like this is like he almost not to put pressure on him, but I feel like he almost has to win it. Like it's
who is your runner up?
Bill.
I have Bill also, and then I have Sam Richardson because he's so funny on Ted Lasso, and I
mean, like Sam, I guess, like Trent Crimm also just kind of like that's sort of like not the same, but it's just it's kind of like Cousin Greg. It's like the fan favorite type of thing.
I thought it's exactly like that. Yes, yeah, it is.
So I don't think he'll win, but I think he could also kind of cut into Sam's votes.
Me too. And I mean, Sam is so funny on it, though. He really is good.
And then like Kristen McDonald should have been nominated for season 1.
Yes, that was a makeup for last year, and that's the category. For comedy, guest actress, I feel like is more competitive, at least to me. Like, so I have Jane winning.
It's full of hacks.
It's full of hacks, and Taria Walter on Ted Lasso is really memorable. So you have multiple hacks, though. Like, the idea for me, at least, was like, oh, they're all going to cancel each other out. Though I would say Laurie Metcalf is the best, is Weed. But I don't think she's going to win.
I would say Harriet Sansom Harris is the best.
I mean, hard, I couldn't even argue that either, honestly, even though I don't agree. I'm like, she's great. They're all great. It's a great list. But I still have Jane because she was so funny in season 1, like really, really funny in Only Murders as Charles's stunt double.
She still is funny in season 2 too, when she has to break up with Amy Ryan.
Very funny. Very, very funny. Just not in it as much, obviously.
Yeah, so I think like the hacks ladies can just really split the vote because I think everyone has their preference. Like I don't love Kayleen Olsen is another Chris McDonald situation. Should have been nominated for season 1. Although I think she was supporting eligible in season 1. And Jane Addams was nominated last year, but I don't see her winning.
No.
And then I think most people's top 2 preferences are Laurie and Harriet Sansom Harris for hacks. So yeah, I mean, like Laurie has not won an Emmy since Roseanne the 90s.
Like, I'm not going to predict her to win. I'm probably stick with Jane. It just feels like that's the consensus, but it would be really nice if Laurie Metcalf won.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I have Jane. And she's won before here for me. Well, she has 5 Emmys, so this will be 6.
Right.
And as you recall, she left Funny Girl even earlier now.
She did, but she said she loves Leah Michelle, Joyce.
She's gonna come back to see Leah Michelle, but I mean they were not gonna overlap anyway. But she said she had a pre-planned vacation, and then they just decided to be like, why don't you just leave completely? So because she is also planning her trip to LA for this.
Right.
For the
sure.
Ceremony.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Any other comedy stuff, Joyce? We're gonna do our creative arts coming up, our picks for all that and everything, but this is our last time going through comedy. One of these.
Are you sad?
Well, laughter makes the best medicine, so I'm feeling okay.
I think it was music though.
Oh, well, then I'm feeling sad, I guess. All right, bye, Joyce.